Daytona International Speedway, widely renowned as the center of motorsport in the United States, plays host to round number 1 of the Thursday Night Nitro Series truck season here in 2026. Engines will fire for the first time this year tonight, and there's a bit of an air of anticipation between all the drivers and amongst myself and everyone else involved. We cannot wait to get this season underway. We hope you are just as excited as we are to get this thing going. Welcome back to the Boom Tube. For those of you who are new or have not been here in a while, or perhaps you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Adam LeVox. I'll be bringing you the live action on the Boom Tube here for the Thursday Night Nitro Series throughout all 15 of the scheduled races this season. Cars are out on track for qualifying at the moment. We'll get to them in just one moment. First, I'd like to just thank all the drivers for showing up tonight, everyone for getting everything involved in putting this together, for working with us. And subscribe to the channel yet and would like to know when we go live. The next time you want to follow your favorite driver, go ahead and subscribe to the channel with that button right below the stream, and go ahead and hit that bell icon as well, and that'll notify you anytime we go live here on the Boom Tube with the Thursday Night Nitro Series Daytona International Speedway. For those of you who are outside of the racing fan realm, it is a 2.5 mile what they call super speedway. They say, what's so super about it? Well, it is one of the fastest tracks in all of NASCAR. Why is that? Because they don't really have to use brakes here at Daytona. The name of the game is drafting, working with other drivers to try to get yourselves to the front of the field by any means necessary, pushing, shoving, using the air, manipulating the other cars around you, trying to play the strategy game, see the air as it was, to try to find the best spot for your car and the best way to carve your path to the front of the field. Quite a few teams coming after it tonight, and some teammate action will no doubt be on the table. Teammates helping each other by utilizing that pushing system. You're going to have to be a little bit careful this evening not to overheat the increasingly sensitive engines on these NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series vehicles. Because within just about a lap and a half, you stand to maybe overheat that engine and have a really sour end to the day if you're not careful. So drivers will have to juggle quite a few different things as we go into the race this afternoon. That said, they are out on track for qualifying. We'll go ahead and see what we're working with here for the qualifying runs. It looks like right now Kenny Reel in the number 8 is on top of the board in that qualifying session. It is just getting wrapped up. Go ahead and get our results on the screen for you in just a moment. Looking at our results from qualifying, Kenny Reel on top of the board with a 51.57. Just 1,000th behind him was Dusty Martin for Longshot Motorsports. Bennett Allen, last season's defending champion, winning 9 out of 12 races, rolls off in third place this afternoon. Kyle Bolton, a new face to the Thursday Night Nitro Series, qualifies fourth. Ryan Bailey fifth. Kyle Nadeau, always one to look out for at any racetrack. Our resident Canadian rolls off P6. Devin Gentry, sponsor of several aspects of the lead, he's going to roll off P7 tonight. Crank Bell will roll off P8. Bradley Murphy, P9. Tanner Witt rounds out the top 10 in qualifying. Drivers are getting gridded up. We're ready to get this thing rolling here this afternoon. Let's head on down trackside as they get. As you see, Dave putting on a nice burnout demonstration for us. Thanks, Dave. We'll see if we can take a look at just what it takes to get around Daytona International Speedway in an effective manner. Taking a look high above the racetrack from our blimp cam, we've got somebody going through the infield. That's not right. Let's right on board with Kyle Ledoux in the number 97 as he takes a lap around the high banks of Daytona. You'll hear that engine note does not change much. These trucks don't have a lot of horsepower, so they are going to depend on each other to go fast. You don't want to be stranded by yourself. You need that help. You need someone else cutting through the air that you can push through it from behind, or vice versa, in order to be competitive and up to speed here. Kyle showing that really no braking at this particular racetrack. It's a whole different style of racing than from what we'll see the majority of this race season, but it's a fantastic way to kick off a new league season because it does provide some action-packed racing, and these drivers are going to have to be on top of the game, not only to get to the front, but just to survive until the finish of this race. We got 80 laps on deck for tonight. Taking a look at the weather real quick. If we can, looking at a nice sounding 68 degrees Fahrenheit, fairly decent wind out of the northeast. That might play a little bit of trouble for these drivers as they come off the corner. It might be a little bit higher than they want it to be. If you come off the corner 3 wide, sometimes you don't have a whole lot of air, a whole lot of downforce left for your car when you're in such close proximity to other cars. It can cause a bit of a loose condition, as we can potentially see off of turn 4 and turn 2. As the car gets really tight, the drivers will want to put a lot more steering input into the car, and before they know it, all of a sudden the rear end kicks out and they're along for the ride, and potentially the rest of the field with them. To no one's surprise, several of these teams do specialize in this kind of super speedway racing and frequently do it away from league. But we'll expect to see, keep an eye on Long Shot Motorsports. The drivers Crank Bell in the number 14, Dusty Martin in the 35, and Paul Turner in the 5, all used to working with each other at these super speedways, at these drafting tracks, and are very skilled at the craft, so expect to see them at the front, no doubt, at some point in this evening. But the one thing about super speedways, it's really anybody's game, because you're not reliant so much on your ability to read the track and just set a fast lap. It's just as much about finding who to work with, picking the right lanes at the right time, reading the runs as they develop. As you start seeing people getting closer together, you start keeping an eye on who's working well with each other, who can take a push, who can't, who's good at leading out in front of a line. All these things are things that these drivers are going to have to take into consideration this evening, and a few of those stand well above the others as masters of that craft. So expect to see that 35 there on the right side of your screen out front. Kenny Reel out front as well. Expect to see him towards the front. But real quick, let's go ahead and take a look at our running order as we get set to take the green flag for the first time in the 2026 season. We've got 200 miles of Daytona on deck. Let's introduce you to the drivers who will be taking part. As we mentioned before, Kenny Reel is going to lead him off from the pole position. That is not right. Let's try this again, folks. That's more like it. Inside the first row, that'll be Kenny Reel in the number 8. Next up in row, to his outside will be Dusty Martin in the 35. Inside of row 2, Bennett Allen, defending champion, in the number 15. With Connell Bolton to his outside. Inside of row 3, Ryan Bailey in the 10, Kyle Nadeau in the 97, followed by Devin Gentry and Crank Bell in the 12 and 14, respectively. Inside row number 5, newcomer to the league, Bradley Murphy in the 18, and fellow newcomer, Tanner Witt, part of Team Waffle. That'll be the 80, the 81, and the 88, so keep an eye on those three. Expect them to work together throughout the course of tonight's event. Teammates Max Bauman and Corey Nesbitt make up row 6, with Max starting to the inside, Corey to his outside. Row number 7 consists of Zach Miller and Alex Finney. Row number 8, Mr. Cameron in the number 81 and Greg Burchett return to the number 33 Royal Pegasus Motorsports Chevrolet. Row number 9, Randall Peasley in the number 63 and Paul Turner in the 5 car. Starting row number 10, into the inside will be Jake Doffing, with Dave Gage making a rare appearance in the 404 machine to his outside. Row 11, Dan Jensen in the 29 returns for another season, with Patrick Coro his outside, and the very patriotic knock-around sunglasses, number 91. Alex Wiggins barely makes it in, but he is here. Your defending season, I believe, season 2 champion. Starting inside of row number 12, with Doug Argerbright to his outside, and rounding out the field will be Brandon Hartman in the number 93. Back up front, we're getting ready to go green flag racing. Green is in the air here for 80 laps at Daytona International Speedway. Neck and neck out front, inside line formed up nicely from the drop of the flag. Outside starting to get formed up. We got a 00 of Connell Bolton trying to push Dusty Martin out front. We got Kyle Nadeau, third car in that lane, trying to make it happen. Outside line starting to form up pretty well. They're getting a lead as Martin comes out on top as they head into 3, but here comes the inside lane. It's going to be Real to the bottom. He's going to squeak out front by a nose, but expect that outside lane to surge. Coming down the straightaway, and they do. It'll be Dusty Martin leading lap number 2. Yeah, everyone given ample space here to start the race early. Drivers already seeing some drivers poking the nose out of line. You saw the 00 dip just a little bit lower than the 35 through turns 1 and 2 that time. Already worried about those temperatures, trying to keep things nice and cool. You see a lot of these drivers staggering their positioning just a little bit. You see a little bit of a corner of the nose trying to stick that radiator just a little bit in the air to try to keep things under wraps when it comes to temperatures. Outside lane, once again, Dusty Martin to lead lap 3 as well, but here comes Kyle Nadeau switching lanes. He's on the inside now, leading the way. 2x2 so far, no super aggressive moves of 3 wide. Hopefully we save that for the end of the race because we want as many drivers as possible in the running at the end of this. Of note is exactly what these drivers are racing for tonight. Not only are they racing for an amazing Mike Skinner signed 1995 Craftsman Super Truck Series diecast, but the winner will also receive $40 because Daytona is the first of 3 Nitro Super Speedway Challenge races. You say, well, what on earth is that? What kind of gimmick are you throwing at us? Well, there are 3 super speedway tracks on the schedule, drafting tracks such as this, Daytona, Talladega, and Atlanta Motor Speedway, or Echo Park Speedway as it's now called. At the end of this race, the top 4 drivers will be eligible, will be marked as Nitro Super Speedway Challenge competitors. Those 4 will then compete to see who can finish ahead of the other 3 in the next super speedway race. The winner moves on, and we pick up a new bottom 3 of that stack for the final race. The winner of each week of Nitro Super Speedway Challenge will receive $40 cash, and if a driver manages to win all 3 of those races, which will be spread throughout the season. Oh, it was a moment for Trank Bell on the inside. He comes across the nose of the 00. Got cut a break there that easily could have ended badly. Thankfully, Bolton was all over it and lifted just enough to give the 14 room to sneak in. The Team Highlands Racing teammates, the 27 and the 89 on the outside. That's Corey Nesbitt and Max Bauman starting to make their way to the front. As I was saying before that bit of a moment there at the front of the field, $200 will go to the winner of all 3 if they can manage to do that. You say, well, that doesn't seem very likely. It is not. That is why it's such a large prize, because if you manage to do that, you've truly done something right to be able to survive 3 of these races and come out on top. Right now, very tight racing here, back in the 4th position, neck and neck. We got that 8 truck of Kenny Reel showing on the screen as the 11 for anyone who's watching. Side drafting the 18 and the 15 heavily, trying to work their way up through there. He's got the 35 of Dusty Martin all over the back of that Chevrolet. They're trying to make moves here on the outside lane. Bit of a stack up on the inside. We already saw the 00 might have had some heat issues earlier. No stranger to bumping in the middle of the corners. He confidently gives a big push to the number 14 to send him out front from that bottom lane. Now they're 3 wide for that 5th position. Looks like Dusty Martin might get hung out to dry on the outside. That he is. Nobody willing to pick up the 35. He's going to shuffle all the way to the back of the field if he can't find an opening. Finally finds a gap, but that's going to relegate him all the way back to the 11th position. Out front, Crank Bell still leads the way. Single file for 3 rows deep. Now the 15 pulling his help off, and beside drafts the 00. Looking to take over that spot, trying to pull apart, disassemble that inside lane that's been so dominant the past few laps. Little does he know the entire outside lane is going to hang him out to dry. 15 of Bennett Allen is dropping like a stone through the middle of the field. Little too greedy with the side draft, which slowed him down a little bit too. The outside lane says, we're not slowing down to pick you up. We're going to keep going, and that they did. Put him back in the 6th spot. Out front, Kyle Nadeau leads lap number 9. He's got that Chevrolet painted up like a classic El Camino. You note the displacement number as we rode around before the race in shiny chrome on the hood of that vehicle. So far, no one's been able to unseat Crank Bell the last few laps. He's got Bolton committed to the rear bumper of that Chevrolet and has not moved in quite some time, but looks like Nadeau's got some pretty dedicated help from Real. 3 wide, back in the 4th and 5th rows. That's Martin falling down the inside. You got the Team Highlands Racing teammates, Max Bauman and Corey Nesbitt, working the inside lane, switching things up a little bit. They're starting to march their way to the front as well. Still 3 wide. You get to 88 of Tanner Witt. Just kisses the outside fence as they got a little bit bottled up there in that 3 wide situation. Got hung out of that lane, but he finds help in his teammate. There is the 80 of Alex Finney right there to pick him up. So far, so good. We'll see if it stays that way. We've got a little bit of weaving going on in the outside toward the back of that lane. A lot of drivers seem a little bit indecisive about where they want to take those runs in the mid-pack. Do they want to stay there? Do they want to try to get up to that lead? Super Speedway racing, a lot like the game of poker. You got to know when to call other people's bluff. When things get a little bit too racy and people are looking to charge to the front, a lot of times that means they're going for broke, and they end up broken on pit road for extensive repairs. Another part of Super Speedway racing is not only being able to stay out front, but knowing when to push the issue or when to call it good enough and let everybody else wreck each other. We've had a couple of moments already. We're going 3 wide for that second spot. The 15 trying to make runs all on his own again. Not going to work out. Watch that 15 drop out of the top 10 in a pretty short amount of time here if he doesn't get picked up. Oh, finds a place in line, takes the right rear bumper off the 10, and around they go. 00 of Bolton collected as well. Several cars involved. It looks like the 29 of Dan Jensen involved. Possibly high-sided on the banking, trying to get that rolling again. We'll take a look at that replay in just a moment. Trying to get an idea of just what cars were involved. We're going to take a look from the spotter stand right up here by the booth, and we'll see if we can dissect exactly what kicked off this turn of events. Keep an eye on that 15 to the outside, looking to slot in line, just wasn't quite clear yet. Catches the right rear of the 10, and he's just not able to hang on to it after that. It's the 10, the 00 involved. Very good driving by the 80 down on the bottom, is able to avoid it. Looks like Corey Nesbitt involved to get some contact from the 80, but both should be okay. But 10, the 15, 00, the big cars involved there. Going to have to get some pretty extensive repairs down on pit lane in order to continue. Rest of the field now cycling down pit lane as well. Looks like we got one of the trucks about blown up as we have issues on pit lane. 2 trucks coming together. Looks like the 33 and the 63. Having a bit of an argument over which pit stall's theirs. Out front, it's still Crank Bell leading the way, followed by Kyle Nadeau. Sorry, Dusty Martin leading the way. Followed by Nadeau, Bell, Real, Bradley Murphy in that 18. Kind of silent. Not too much drama out of the 18. Just been kind of silently lurking inside the top 5, top 10. Just kind of minding his business, choosing the safe line. Not really pushing the issue too much. So far, working out pretty good. The 80 was able to make it through that. Finney's looking pretty good. That truck nice and clean in that 6th spot. Max Bauman in the 89 as well. First round of pit stops for our first caution of the evening. Coming on lap number 12, now lap number 13 as they cross the line. Extensive damage to the 10 truck. That is going to be very detrimental to his chances. There are no fast repairs in the league, so they're going to have to keep it nice and clean all on their own. I can't imagine he's going to be too happy with the 15 over that wreck. Dusty Martin keeps the lead off of pit lane. Looks like the top 6, 7, 8 gonna stay the same, just about the same. Top 7 are the same. Looks like Zach Miller picks up a couple spots on pit lane. So does Alex Wiggins in the number 11 truck. Sporting a new paint scheme for this season with the new Red Brush HQ YouTube channel. Is Mr. Devin Gentry sponsoring a lot of the prizes for this season. Huge shout out to him. See if we can't take a look at the rear of this truck. Let's see. Yeah, when you're done here with the broadcast this evening, if you are interested, go check out his YouTube channel, Red Brush HQ on YouTube. He does a lot of shower installs, just general handyman works, projects around the house. Devin, just a really handy guy in general, likes to build things and does it well, and takes you through the process, kind of documenting his day-to-day. And I'm watching a few of the videos myself, doing a great job over on that channel. The link is also in the description of this video. If you'd like to go check that out and support a great guy who supports this league as well. Lights are off on the pace truck. We'll be going green the next time by. Decent green flag stretch there. A couple early moments that could have turned into caution flags didn't. As things finally came to a head, people trying to sneak back into line instead of getting hung out to dry. And just a tiny, tiny bit of clearance. It makes the difference between continuing on in the race and calling it quits for the evening. Sun setting very nicely in Daytona. This race will transition into the evening. Should see those track lights coming on before too long. Sunset creating a great backdrop for racing here at Daytona. A nice full field of trucks. A lot of action yet to be had. We're getting ready to go green here. Dusty Martin's going to choose that outside lane, go with the help that he wants. He's got Crank Bell behind him. We'll see what Nadeau and Real can do on the inside lane. We're going green here at Daytona. Pace truck pulls off. Barney's got the flag up in the air, waiting to wave that thing and get him underway once again. Green flag, lap number 16. Down the front straightaway, both of those long shot drivers get cleared out front. They're going to slide down to the bottom lane, play things nice and safe. That's bad news for Max Bauman, though, because he's got no help on the outside just yet. They're starting to get formed up, but not soon enough. Let's see if they stay with him or hang him out. It looks like they have pity on him and actually do pick him up on that outside lane, but that gives the inside a big 4-car advantage. All 4 of the front cars have cleared the outside lane. Only 4 cars outside. Everyone taking a bit of a deep breath after that wreck. They want to get involved in one themselves, so they're going to hang out towards the back. Strategy, these long shot motorsports drivers is usually stay out front, though, and that is exactly what we're going to see them do today. There go the long shot motorsports drivers, currently P1 and P2. Kyle Ledoux on a bit of an island, separated from his teammates. Greg Burchett, his teammate, currently back in 23rd position, so has to make do with what he's got. But so far, Kenny Reel's been pretty attached to the back end of that number 97. I think he's got a pretty good partner to work with up here once the time comes. Max Bauman still leads that outside lane, followed by Zach Miller in the 38. 91 of Patrick Coro trying to generate a bit of a run. I just don't think they quite have the numbers to make it happen just yet. Everybody keeping it loose, you know, so you don't see anybody right on the bumper like we saw the previous run. Everyone giving ample space. Don't want to pinch anyone too much. Like we said, it's only lap number 18 out of 80 laps. That is a long time to survive here at Daytona. It might seem like logging laps, but when you're side by side with other drivers, it is still by no means a simple task, because you never know what might happen. Let's see what close quarters looks like. Let's go ahead and take a ride on board that number 14 Chevrolet of Crank Bell as he pushes his teammate in the 35. See just what we're dealing with. As far as close quarters. Close out front, close out the back. You got to trust these drivers around you to not be too aggressive, not push you in the wrong spot, not on the racetrack, but also the wrong spot on that rear bumper. As we saw earlier, you tagged the wrong part of that rear bumper, and you're going for a ride. You need to keep everything nice and square. Try to push as close to that center as possible. Still single file, first 6 rows. Everyone trying to keep things drama-free for now. Looks like we got some position swapping happening toward the mid-pack. We see Hartman has moved up a few spots. Alex Finney's hanging right around that 8th spot as well. Side by side, but still not pushing too much. Plenty of space between the 2 rows. Bauman looks hungry to go forward. He's all over the back end. Of Hartman in that 93. Dave Gage there gives a shot to Bauman, gets him up there as well. Gage thinks better of it. Dives down to that inside lane. Something you might notice what just happened there as Gage left the back of the 89 in that 3-car train. Almost immediately, the 89 fell off the back of the 93. He was right tight to the bumper. He lost a 3rd car. Suddenly wasn't able to stay there any longer. You do need a car behind you to be able to effectively push as the second car in a line. You need that car behind you taking a little bit of air off the rear spoiler. And what you don't see is actually a bit of a bubble of air getting pushed ahead of each truck. So that bubble of air can actually push the car ahead of you as well. Almost as if you had a giant beach ball between the two cars. Is it super rigid? Is it probably going to push a whole lot? No, but just enough to get that second car up to the bumper of the lead car. That's all it takes to be able to close up right on the bumper and have an effective push. It all relies on that third car in line. Well, Bauman doesn't have any cars in line. He's sinking to the back. All the help on that outside lane has vaporized. He's trying to find a hole to sneak into, and he does right in front of Dave Gage. Taking a look toward the back of the pack a little bit. The guys just minding their business, biding the time towards the end of the race. We've got the 12 and the 13. Jake Doffing and Devin Gentry hanging out in the back, just waiting for things to file out. And it looks like Tanner Witt might be doing the same strategy back here with Randall Peasley. These cars in entirely separate part of the racetrack now. They've fallen off the pack a little bit. They're not too concerned with staying right up there with the lead group. And it looks like a bit of damage to the left front and the left rear of the number 88. They'll be looking for another caution to get the remaining damage on that truck repaired. Bailey still extensive damage. Currently only managing to be, I think, one lap down despite that damage, so must not be too much damage to the motor. Still staying nice and cool despite that damage to the front of the truck, which is probably the most important thing for him. It's not overheating as a result of the damage. That's really what matters, so he can at least keep up a decent pace and hopefully get that lap back at the next caution and get some of that damage repaired. Back out front, Dusty Martin leads the way as the lights are on here at Daytona International Speedway. We're transitioning to the nighttime. Cooler air, more horsepower. There's just nothing quite like racing under the lights. Single file most of the way back. You see Alex Wiggins, Dave Gage. It looks like Brandon Hartman again on the outside lane. Yep, that is that number 93. It's like the Team Highlands Racing teammates have found each other once again. Corey had a little bit of a extended pit stop last time by after getting some right side damage from some wreck avoidance contact during the caution. But both drivers are in line, starting to move their way forward a little bit. I don't think anyone's quite pushed an issue just yet. Closing in on lap number 30 fairly soon. Last pit stop is around lap number 18, so these drivers will have to be thinking about fuel. These trucks for this season are running 80% fuel. So a little closer pit stop time than a full fuel cell will get you. One thing the 35's got to be a little concerned with, if we don't get a caution, is, well, Dusty Martin is spending a lot more fuel. Out front, he's got that pedal pinned to the floor. You might as well just put a brick on it. That's what the 35's doing right now. He's going all out, punching a hole in the air for the cars behind him. You know who's not full throttle? The 14 behind him and everyone from there on back. They're not spending nearly as much fuel. Let's see if they're maybe switching. I think the 14 might be switching to that lead, trying to balance out this fuel spend. Say, hey, well, I've burned all the fuel for a while. It's time for you to do your shares. The teammate's going to swap spots out front. A little bit of a lift from the 35, lets the 14 sail on by. Everyone in a bit of a save mode right now. I think that's why there's not a whole lot of real hard racing going on. That outside lane's getting a little bit racy, though. The 404, Dave Gage up to P3 in that machine, followed by Alex Wiggins and Brandon Hartman. Finally getting formed up a little bit. We got Dan Jensen back there, and it looks like maybe the 41 of Argabright. Still don't see a lot of super solid pushing. Everyone giving each other room, staying about a half car length off the truck in front of them. Nobody wants to end their night prematurely. But I just know that Bailey in the number 10, he is praying for a caution. Bailey doffing. Burchett's still on pit lane with repairs. I believe Allen and Bolton, the 15 and 00, have retired for the evening. Let's take a look on the left side of your screen. Who's making the big moves so far? Up 14 spots is Dave Gage. 15 spots is Brandon Hartman in the 93. Make that 16. As I shuffle position 2 wide. Big position gain so far for those two. We'll see if they can hang on to that throughout the rest of this race as we close in on the halfway point. Haven't been pushing super hard. That outside lane is slowly making headway, though. The middle of that bottom line getting broken up just a little bit. I think that's been enough for them to advance some position and to come up on the lap traffic of Ryan Bailey in the 10. Bailey, a bit of a roadblock on the inside. We'll see if everyone gets around cleanly, and they do. Great look at the outside lane, still staying formed up. You've seen that inside lane has broken almost completely apart. Splitting into two distinct packs, the 1435-97, the 818 in the 93. Now starting to close up a little bit once more. We'll see if that gives them a little more momentum. Things starting to heat up a little bit. As we close in on the halfway point, we see some locked bumpers up toward the front of that pack. Still the Long Shot Motorsport boys leading out front. Bell has led quite a few laps so far. Total of 9. His teammate Dusty Martin, 19 as well. They have led the majority of the race to this point. As we told you before the broadcast, before the drop of the green flag, these guys know what they're doing. Their strategy is always to stay out front. Get together, find each other, find the front, and stay there. Can't get caught up in the wreck if all the wrecking's behind you. But obviously not everyone can exercise that strategy because someone's got to be up front. Not everyone can be up there, so. But they're pretty good at making this work out. It's done so quite nicely so far for them this evening. Take a look back at the 2 wide. I think we'll jump on board with Bauman. He's been a pretty good pusher back here, all over the back bumper of Wiggins in the 11. Go back to our gyro cam in cockpit. Big lift there as both lanes kind of split. We see the 3 leaders migrate to the outside lane. Now back to the inside. Not quite sure what they're trying to do here. Maybe blocking the runs, trying to keep everyone bottled up the same. So Bauman have to lift quite a bit. Extensive shuffling all through the field. Side by side with the damaged 88. 88 looks like you might be able to keep pace now that they're in traffic. Still falling off just a little bit. I think the truck might need a little more attention on pit lane as Peasley hangs him out and goes around the outside lane. He's just a little more help to be able to stay up there. 89 Bauman working on the outside of the 93 of Hartman. He's trying to work his way forward. No help with him yet. We got Peasley way back, but he hasn't cleared the 88. Doesn't like Wiggins is going to go with him. He's going to get strung outside of the main group here, and hopefully he can hang on. A little bit side drafting off the 11, trying to make things even. Pull that inside lane apart just a little bit. Looks like he's got the 80 coming up behind him. A Finney. That truck looks nice and clean. Might be a help if he can get there. Bauman's still continuing to fall backwards. Wiggins dragging the spoiler of that truck just a little bit, trying to keep him back. Checking on his teammate a little bit farther back. Has dropped out of the main pack. Clean truck, it looks like, but just trying to stay out of potential big one, as is Mr. Paul Turner in the 5. Just kind of riding around the back, making it to the end, making it to that pit stop, saving fuel. Guess what? You can leapfrog a lot of people. If you're not up there going full throttle like everybody else, pushing as hard as they are, you have a shorter pit stop. Looks like they're all going to come together as a group. Got the 5. Oh, big wreck. Patrick Coro. Oh, and he's going to get Nesbitt. Coro wrecks on the brakes coming down a pit lane. Let's see if we can figure out what happened there. Let's take a look back at the 91. There's, yes, the 91. On the brakes hard. Maybe it looked like he was staying out. I don't think. The 13 knew what he was doing. He's kind of weaving back and forth on the line a little bit. I don't know if he knew if he was coming or staying out. Really late commit there for the 91 if he was coming in. I don't think he was going to make pit road speed by any stretch of the imagination. Unfortunately, maybe a little bit of damage for the 27. I'll have to take a look at that truck once they're back out in traffic. Coro, bit of a trouble entering pit road through our round of green flag pit stops. Out front, putting these cars a lap down. Still the Longshot Motorsports 1-2. Bell and Martin leading the way. Now they too will peel off in a pack. Oh, as the 93 loses it under braking, locks the tires, and around they go. Caution flag is out. Just a moment there for the 93, locked a tire and tried to correct it as it started to slide and just was unable to do so. That's going to bring caution number 2 out here as the lead group enters a round of pit stops. You know who did not want to see that? That's everyone who just made pit stops, because they are potentially blocked a lap down because of that timing. And as a result of being the cause of the accident, 93 will receive an EOL penalty, it looks like. Waiting on the field to go by. So after this round, it looks like... not quite sure who's going to shake out in that lead spot yet. A bit of chaos. Everyone was just getting off pit lane from the previous group pit stop. So it's going to take a minute for everybody to get sorted out, caught up, and organized properly. I'll update you as soon as they are. It's like through that round of pit stops, things are going to cycle out. That front group is going to stay right about where they are. In the running order. A couple of cars waiting for wave rounds. Get their laps back. It looks like 63 and the 81 by the look of it. Should get waved around the pace truck next time by. And a quick look at what their what are the prizes they're racing for this evening. A signed 1995 Mike Skinner number 3 GM Goodwrench diecast. And there's Mike's signature right in there on the hood in that silver Sharpie. That will be going to the race winner as well as the $40 in cash. Take a look back at the sponsor that made it possible, Red Rush HQ, YouTube channel of our own Devin Gentry, number 12. Once again, go ahead and feel free to check that out. Link is in the description to his YouTube channel, or you can search it right up in the search bar on YouTube. All right, field ready to take the green flag once again. Here we go, ready to go green at Daytona on lap number 44. We've passed the halfway point. We're ready to get things rolling to the finish. Great launch there for the 35 of Dustin Martin. Bradley Murphy making up big spots in that number 18. Has been hanging just outside the top 5 for most of the race. But here he comes making moves in the number 18. He's locked onto the bumper of the 35. Single file, everything's kind of stringing out. The top 5, separating just a little bit from the rest of the pack as they go too wide. That's going to pull them back a little bit. Single file lane is always going to be faster than too wide because of all the turbulence created by two side-by-side rows of cars. But that outside lane finally starting to get a bit of momentum. They're creeping up now, the 4th position for the 404 of Gage. Starting to creep up now to the 3rd position. Outside lane has a head of steam, and they're coming to the front. Doug Argerbright pushing all over the back of the 404 in that number 41 Gatorade ride. We see the 5 truck make a first showing in quite some time in the top 5. Paul Turner's finally starting to make some moves, trying to catch up to those Long Shot Motorsport teammates. Expect one more round of pit stops. If we don't see a caution flag before the end of this race. Field in a bit of a jumble in the middle with 3 wide. Looks like Paul Turner's getting shuffled out toward the rear. Possibly intentionally. We saw that was a bit of what the 5 was looking for earlier on in the race, is riding toward that back. See Gentry in that second pack just now coming off of turn 2, well behind this group. Banking on another caution before the end of this thing. No doubt we will see. Intensity only goes up from here. Remember, we still have one more round of pit stops, one more potential source of a caution, as we saw first round of pit stops. Everybody shaking the rust off. A couple drivers not quite signaling like they should. Others locking up the brakes, trying to get down to pit lane. It can happen again. It looks like we got a few drivers banking on that. Let's go ahead and get a bit of a mid-race rundown. 2 cautions so far for 6 laps. We've had only 7 lead changes so far. You say, well, that seems a little bit unlikely with as many cars as we see shuffling around, but it's been that number 35. Either the number 35 or the 14 out front for most of this race. Nadeau in the 97 leading a few. Most of the same faces out front for the majority of the race so far, but that is sure to get shaken up a little bit toward the end. Single file back to the 5th spot, then 2x2. Looks like Coro's now shuffled to the lead of that outside pack, followed by Jensen, Gage, and Argabright. Looks like those 4 prefer to stick together. Expect them to be working together as a group toward the end of this thing. Zach Miller, league owner. Looks like he's just kind of riding, predicting another accident at some point. Staying quite a ways off the 5, not really pushing the issues. See the Team Highlands Racing teammates, Bauman and Nesbitt, also kind of taking it easy, but they're starting to form up on that outside lane, taking the run as it forms. 2 pretty equal lanes. Can they do anything with the speed? We got the number 80 of Finney on the outside lane as well. His teammates are nowhere to be found. Tanner Witt mired back all the way in 21st position. Looks like he might have retired for the evening. Didn't want to work through the damage on that race truck any longer. Going to settle for that 21st position. Off of turn 4, the outside lane still building momentum with Coro at the head of it. Now coming down, trying to side draft off the 14 just a little bit. Jensen pops down for some clean air on that truck, keeping everything nice and cool. Racy, but we're not racy. I think now everyone's trying to feel out how big of a run they can get, where they can make it happen. It's trying to build a bit of a notebook for the end of this race. Know what you can do, know what works, what doesn't, who's a good pusher, who's good truck to push, who's good at leading a lane without moving around too much, being nice and predictable and consistent. So things you're looking for as a driver all throughout the course of this race is building that catalog in your mind of drivers to work with, moves to make, how fast you can create a run, what you can do with 2 trucks, what you can do with 3 trucks, how many it takes in a line to make a run. Right now, the 18's experimenting a bit, pushing that 35 out front. Give them a good push. They'll back off a little bit. Back in again. Start to pair up a little bit. Looking like the two-car tandem days of the Car Tomorrow era. Back in the early 2010s NASCAR. For just a moment. Now they form back up on that inside lane, getting organized once again. Outside lane starting to lose a bit of that momentum. You got Real trying to make something happen there. They're going to be 3 wide there. Coro didn't want to stay with him. He's going to take his line of 4 trucks to the outside. Kenny Real is going to fall to the rear. Here comes the Team Highlands duo on the outside lane again. No help to be found for them at the moment. Big shot there from the 27. One more car and they might be able to make some moves. Right now, 2 cars just isn't going to get it done. Inside lane, everyone's single file now. All the Pied Piper's minions, the other drivers behind the number 91 on the outside, have filed down to that inside lane. They have abandoned their leader. Now he's got to stick with that 2-car tango of the Team Highlands Racing trucks trying to make their way forward. 25 laps remaining. We're 3/4 of the way through this, just about 3/4 of the way through this event. Here comes Kenny Real making some moves on the inside. He just sees Coro lagging a little bit there. He's going to side draft him and take advantage of that. He wants to maybe get up here and push the Team Highlands Racing twosome to the front. If he can manage getting side drafted from both sides, he's got Miller kind of taking some air, packing some air on the inside. Coro not wanting to let it go on the outside. Coro knows he's going to get stuck if he doesn't get down sometime soon. He's got the 93 lap car of Hartman in front. Both drivers going to have to cycle back. Real probably had been intending to work with teammate Ryan Bailey in a limited capacity. I don't think he plans on doing the full season, but here to help out his teammate for the Daytona race when it helps to have friends. Fortunately, Bailey out of the event early, but now no one really wanting to pick up the Kenny Real truck, help him to the front. Kind of has to make his own way. He's doing pretty good right now, tagging onto the coattails of 89 and 27, maybe going to make something happen on the outside. Let's see if Nesbitt's wanting to push the issue, if he's going to stay off and just kind of ride for now. See Real all over the back bumper pushing. He wants to get going, but I'm not sure Nesbitt's ready to pull the trigger just yet. 23 laps is a long time here at Daytona International Speedway, and once again, we expect to see another round of pit stops before the end of the race. That could be pandemonium, as we saw for the second caution of the evening. Could very well see something like that again. Ooh, things getting dicey here. 14 to Crank Bell got separated. 5's through the grass, comes back into traffic and into the side of Zach Miller. Miller looks like able to keep it off the inside fence. Not a whole lot of damage. You see a little bit of a right front dent, or left front dent, sorry, on the 38, but it looks like everyone was able to somehow keep it together. Thought for sure that was going to be a massive wreck. 2 cars got in the door, but they were both able to somehow keep it off that inside wall and keep things going. Now, if I'm them at this point, those cars that just got kicked out of the lead pack after that incident, I might be considering short pitting. Wait till this whole pack has to pit and then potentially overtake him. Even if there is a caution, that whole lead pack is still going to have to pit. That's going to put them out front. Might be the thing to do because they're only going to lose more time on track anyways. Here comes the Team Highlands duo pushing the 14 and the 97. I expect the 1497 probably going to get clear here. Then move down to the inside. We see Kyle's going to do that. Will Crankbell follow? He does. One car short of a party on the outside. A third truck would do them a lot of good in that outside lane. They just cannot find a good pusher that they need. Two cars just not going to be able to get it done against the whole line. They quickly fade back through the packets. Now Kyle Liddell out front once again. $19 laps to go, just inside 20 laps to go. Should be interesting to see because I think last round of pitch stops should come fairly close to the 10 to go mark. It's like drivers were good for about 28 laps on that first run. Somewhere around that 12 laps to go, 11 laps to go. I'd expect to see some cars start to filter down pit lane. Let's see. Look at the chat here. Oh yeah, Dalton asked how many laps do they run in real life. They ran about 100. I think their scheduled distance was 100. They end up running 102 for this year's Craftsman Truck Series race. Two by two. The top three still handily staying out front, though. 97, 14, 35. All three of these trucks showing a exemplary amount of speed throughout the evening. Able to make runs as they need to. It looks like 97 is going to get hung out. Maybe just wanting that extra little bit of fuel in the tank. Going to swap with the leaders. Or swap with the Long Shot Motorsports guys. Looks to be a planned maneuver. A lot of side drafting going on from Argabright, trying to pull that inside lane apart. They're not having any of it, though. All three of them pretty much locked on each other's bumpers. His help's falling off just a little bit. He's staying there by determination alone, just hanging on the spoiler of that number 14. Bit of a tricky situation to be in there if you're Patrick Coro. Hard to give a good shot, a good push to the leader of your lane if he's side drafted the cars in front. You really don't want to follow that car down into the door of one of the inside line cars. So side drafting's good if you're hung out by yourself, but if you got a potential pusher, maybe keep a little bit more of that gap. You see a lot of drivers starting to cycle down to that bottom lane. I think with pit stops in mind, should be coming up pretty soon. Last pit for most of these drivers with lap 41 through 43. 41 for your top two, that's Bell and Martin. 42 for Argabright and Gage. So be expecting that 14 and 35 to peel off first. It's just a matter of when, potentially within the next two laps. If their first round of pit stops was anything to go by, maybe they have a little bit longer they could stretch it. Might be a matter of opportunity as well. Right now they got a pretty good spacing. Several cars behind. It looks like Gage, Coro, and several others going to peel off. See Hartman in 93 just coming off of pit lane. Now that everyone else has pit, expect the 14 and 35 to come down this time. 13 very slow getting up to speed. Down on the apron, down the backstretch. Keep an eye on Kenny Real. I'll be interested to see what he's able to do working solo. Like he's going to pit right with the rest of this lead group. Ooh, a little bit wiggly under the brakes. Tries to stay off the 35. Hopefully he kept it down under pit lane speed. He'll definitely be expecting a penalty after the race concludes for driving through every pit stall. Back out they come. Looks like Real got out first, but I'd expect Martin and company to inherit the lead fairly quickly with some organized help back there. It looks like maybe a few spots lost for Crank Bell. Not sure what happened with the 14. Coming off pit lane much later than everybody else. It looks like a little damage to the left rear. Right in front of that rear tire that I don't recall seeing before. Pit lane time for Bell was 49 seconds. Start to finish, average of about 34.5 for the rest of the field. Now something happened there with 14, maybe overshot the pick box, couldn't see it, not quite sure what, but that's going to split him off from his teammate Dusty Martin. So this just got a whole lot more interesting for Dusty as well. And maybe fortuitous for Kenny Real, because he's looking for help, and now Dusty doesn't have help, so I think they're both well aware that they're both good super speedway racers, so we'll see what happens here. Both able to push out front all on their own. We got this line starting to form up of Gage, Argabright, and Cora on the outside. 18 of Murphy hanging on the inside all by himself. This series of pit stops has absolutely split the field into many different groups. A little bit hard to keep track of who's where. Bauman with some help from some help from Peasley, but I don't think it's going to be enough with just 2 trucks. Especially not if they don't get linked up. I'm going to have to drag a little brake to get that 63 to the bumper, and we'll see how comfortable he is pushing. Looks like Kyle Nadeau might have had a bit of a bad stop as well. 43 seconds on that pit stop. Possibly a little get-together between the 97 and the 14. They came down pit road right close to each other, and both of them experienced long pit stops. All of these drivers going to be hoping for a caution, just hoping they're not the ones in it. Steel cars filtering on and off pit road. Miller trying to get up speed on the inside lane. Everyone has to evade, moving up the track. Seeing if he can tack on to the end of this draft. Miller is a lap down, as is Coro. Last car on the lead lap, rather, is the 12 of Gentry. Paul Turner and Crank Bell. It's good that they have help, but they're just too far behind to make anything happen right now. 17 seconds behind the leader of Real, and we've got a battle up front. 3 versus 3. We got the outside lane versus the inside. Martin sees the run coming on the outside. He's going to chop off that outside lane. He's going to ride that to the lead around the outside. Not much you can do about it on the inside lane. 2 cars just isn't going to cut it. Expect a lot of shuffling before the end of this thing. Gage all over the back bumper, that number 35, trying to push him out front. All 4 cars will get clear. Real just has no friends on the inside. Martin gonna switch spots here. Back to the front of the 11. Does the 11 give him some help? Kind of has to. He needs that 3 cars in line. I think they know what they can do. Those 2 drivers can hook up pretty well and make moves. Bit of a game of leapfrog right now, seeing who can generate runs, who can stay in front. Gage all over the apron. Not able to hold a strong line in front. Trying to hang on to that car. And Solo spins down the back straightaway. Caution flag will fly as the field narrowly misses him to either side. Good heads-up driving. I think that was Bauman and Wiggins. Split Gage as he was coming, spinning down the middle of the backstretch. That's the caution that most people were hoping for. For Gage, it's not going to be the way he wanted it to happen. That's going to let everyone get bunched up, and we're going to have a bit of a shootout here toward the end. Lucky Dog looks like it's going to go to Patrick Coro in the 91. He was just a lap down, racing in that lead pack. Have to see where he was at the time of caution. I know Miller was also in that lead pack, but it looked like he was just a little bit behind at the time. We will find out in short order. This shakes things up entirely, because now there's a good amount of teammates that are stacked up together, and teammates that are going to be able to find each other again. We've got, let's see here. Taking a look back here, we got Turner and Bell. Those teammates, they may be back outside the top 10. But if 2 drivers can make it to the front in short order, it is these 2. I'm sure Martin will be looking for them to do just that. That's going to bring Corey Nesbitt right up with his teammate, Max Bauman, in the 89. So they're back paired up once again. We'll have a shot to make some moves toward the end. It looks like Nesbitt might be a lap down at the moment. Probably going to stay a lap down unless we catch another caution before the end of the race. But that doesn't mean he can't still help out his teammate in the 89. Max currently running 5th. I've got a couple people maybe looking for pit stops, maybe faking out, maybe just trying to make a pit stop so they can get bunched up with teammates. Or maybe cutting a little close on fuel and not ready for the overtime, if it's needed. So I have a few wave around cars getting back on that lead lap.
Hello.
The wave round in the rule book. If you don't pit, then you can do a wave round. Or did I read that wrong? I thought it said you can do a wave round for wave rounds. It says if you don't pit at all, you can get the lap back and the black flag will be cleared.
Just so you know, everything you just said is on the stream.
All right, sorry about that. I'm trying to figure a couple things out with race control. Lights are off on the pace truck. We will be going green next time by. Now that everybody's sorted out where they are supposed to be. Argerbright going to lead him to the start with Martin on the inside lane. Green flag. 3 laps to go at Daytona. Massive jump for the 41. Hopefully that doesn't bite him too much because he has no help behind. See if the 18 picks him up or elects to go to the inside with the run. 41's going to go to the inside. He's going to pick up the bottom lane. Dusty Martin's going to get on the rear bumper as well as Kenny Reel. They're going to push for all they're worth on that inside lane. Max Baumann, the 4th car in line. Nadeau all over the 18. Bradley Murphy, the newcomer, and we'll see what he's got for the league veterans on the inside lane. Not quite the organization they need here on that outside just yet. Not able to get the momentum. I think a little bit of side draft shenanigans are pulling him back a little bit. Ooh, very close call there. Oh, big one from third on back. Murphy involved, Bauman involved, and it's pandemonium throughout the rest of the field. Almost the entire field wrecking at the end, trying to side draft that inside lane just too much. Everyone comes together. Combination of side drafting and a bad push. We warned earlier that could end up being bad news. You follow that lead car down to the door of the cars on the inside. No caution. Gonna let him race it out to the finish. It's a battle, three-way battle. Dusty Martin, Kenny Reel, Doug Argerbright. Martin with nowhere to go, stuck behind Argerbright, and it looks like Argerbright's going to take home the checkered flag for the first race of the 2026 season. Meanwhile, absolute disaster for the rest of the field. Argerbright, Martin, Reel. Reel ends up with a P3 finish despite having no help throughout the entire race. Able to keep that thing clean and far enough out front to avoid the big one at the end. We had gone most of the race without an absolute calamity like we just saw there when they took the white flag. But he was able to stay ahead of it and brings it home P3. Taking a quick look at race results. We got Argerbright, Martin, Reel. Behind them, Gentry came from the back of the pack all the way up to P4. Bauman, I think, crossed the line backwards. Must have got that thing rolling again. Finished 7 seconds behind the leader in P5. Paul Turner in the 5 ends up P6. Crank Bell, P7. Bradley Murphy in the 18. He looked absolutely totaled, smashed, and battered, and was one of the first cars involved in that, but still comes home with the top 10 in P8. Patrick Coro in the 91, P9. Dave Gage rounds out the top 10. Wiggins, Jensen, Nadeau, Finney, Miller, Nesbitt, Hartman, Beasley, Doffing, and Cameron Cresson round out the top 20. Retiring early were Tanner Witt, Ryan Bailey, Greg Birch at Bennett Allen, and Connell Bolton with trouble early on in the race. Now 20 cars running at the end. But man of the hour, one who got it done here in round number 1, was driver number 41, Doug Argerbright. I promise I wasn't trying to rhyme there. That's just what was coming to mind. And we're still doing. I'm sorry, folks. All right. Have some interviews on deck for you in just a moment as drivers begin to file in to the green room. I guess we'll do this reverse a little bit since That's the order they came in. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can get Kenny in here. It was a long race at Daytona and probably a longer one without a teammate to work with, but Kenny Real brings it home P3 in the Jordan Reactor 9 machine. Kenny, it looked like a pretty rough one out there for you. I know you probably were in a bit of agony not having anyone to stick with you and trying to make things happen on your own, but take us through the end of your race there and what you had to do to keep it out front and ahead of the big one at the end.
Out there, Ryan got wrecked out early, and I was trying to make friends because I know Crank and all them, but obviously no one wanted to. I tried reaching out multiple times, and I guess no one wanted to work with me, even though all I do is super speedway race. So I figured I'd be a good person to have work with them. But executed pit stops. Yeah, I did come in through all the boxes at one time. I think I went from like 10th in line to coming out with the lead there, but I was 3 wide. I tried to keep my rights out of the pit box so they could phase through me. I just didn't want to cause a wreck on pit road, but executed pit stops and put the truck where I needed to at the end to try to win the race. It kind of surprised me when Dusty there at the end just stayed in line and pushed because I thought he would at least try to make it 3 wide there. If he comes up and takes my right rear, it's over with. But he's stuck with Doug. Doug got a good nice P1 out of it. I got a P3. Dusty got a P2. So all in all, the whole field died behind us. I seen that in my mirror. Didn't realize it was that big till I watched the stream. But yeah, the whole field died. So that was that.
Yeah, a bit of pandemonium at the end. We kind of expected it at the very finish, not taking the white flag, but overall kept it out on top. And despite all the adversity, still did what you had to. So congrats on a very hard-earned P3.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, that's been your third place finisher, Kenny Real. Next on deck, we've got runner-up P2. Maybe some bad blood between them, but we'll see what Dusty thinks about it. In just a moment, Dusty Martin, driver of the Turtleback Boys, drive number 35. How you doing tonight, Dusty?
Doing well, man. How about yourself, sir?
Not too bad. Would have liked to call a little, more exciting finish, but I mean, I guess there was no lack of excitement there. Just, having cars face the right direction might have been all right. But pretty long day out there. Led a lot of laps here tonight. We wondered if fuel was going to be an issue, but caught the cautions kind of at the right times and was able to complete the stop and not lose anything. Stay out in front through that first round. And ultimately, without any teammate help, you just kind of had to buckle down and do it, and you came home with P2. What was your? I know your team generally tends to try to stay toward the front. To stay out in front of everything. That helped you at the end. So you got mired back in traffic a little bit there, but overall, what was your key to success for today?
No, 100%, man. That was our game plan from the get-go. I was joking around in our Discord saying I'm going to win the pole and I'm going to stay there all night. Won outside pole and tried to stay up there all night. But yeah, I've found more often than not that just staying towards the front, you tend to stay out of trouble versus trying to ride around the back. At least for me, that's just always been my luck. But yeah, we got a little bit separated there on that last pit stop, and that kind of shot our strategy in the foot a little. I had Bradley on my outside. I'm not sure if he was damaged or what, but I was telling him, I was like, all right, man, as soon as I get the opportunity, I'm coming up there to you. And no sooner than I went up there, I saw everybody. It was just calamity and chaos in my rearview mirrors. I was like, well, that strategy's kind of out the window now. But yeah, I'll take a P2 as bad as I hate it, I guess. I'd much rather be sitting in victory lane right now, but hey, man, it's a good points day. We'll take what we can get.
Absolutely. Now, coming to the line, I know Kenny was a little bit sour because he's had a hard time working with anyone the whole day, despite being a pretty good super speedway racer. What influenced the line you went with at the end? I saw Kenny and then Doug on the inside. Both had pretty even even standing coming off of turn 4, what dictated your choice to go to the inside?
Yeah, I saw Kenny backing up for a run, and I kind of figured that's what we were going to do. But when he shot up there, I had a little bit of my bumper to his inside on his left rear quarter panel, and I was concerned on 30 lap old tires. I do a lot of play racing myself. Second, I jerked it up there, I was either going to spin myself out, A, or B, catch that part of his bumper and turn him into the leader, and we were all going to die. So when he went up, it was just a split second choice. I was like, well, I don't know. Either way, I'm probably stuck with P2. So I decided to stick with Doug, not kill us all. And yeah, that's short end of it. Just trying to at least get us a finish and not, have trucks on the hauler after the race in pieces.
Yeah, well, you managed to do that. That 35 truck looks pretty much spotless from what I can tell at the end of the night. So congrats on a solid point stay. And P2, just wish you could have brought a couple of your teammates with you there at the end. It shook out. It looks like Crank finished P7 and Paul ended up pretty far down though. No, Paul made up a lot of spots at the end through that wreck. He's up P6. So really all together,
Nice.
Not a bad haul for the day. So congrats on that and a solid run, which we obviously expect out of you here at your bread and butter tracks.
I appreciate it, man. Good day for long shot overall. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Dusty. Thanks for taking the time and great race out there.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
All right, last but not least, tonight's winner by just a hair at the end on a three-way duel to the finish. Driver number 41, Doug Argerbright. Doug, it was a whale of a last 2 laps, but you ended up being able to stay ahead of the absolute pandemonium behind you, and you duked it out with the 2 other guys there for the win, and were able to make it happen on that inside lane, blocking low, and having Dusty come with you. Take us through your night. Did you picture being here at the end? What was the key to getting out front?
So the plan mostly was make it to the end, so that's why all the SMR guys started out back, just so that way we could chill, kind of get a feel. And then when that first crash happened and a lot of them got damaged, we got kind of all separated, and Carl ended up going a lap down, and he needed the lucky dog, so that's when he pushed me all the way to the front. That wasn't as much track position for me as it was securing the lucky dog for him if a caution were to come out, and it just happened to work that way at the end there. So the only reason
They
I was
all
at the
seem to
front was
work out,
'cause of Coro.
pan out one way or another. I know you lost your teammates there at the end, and the ASMR guys, your lead guys, you're used to working with, but still managed to keep it out front. Did you have a plan? Did you, coming off of turn 4, what was going through your mind, seeing both those cars behind you, pretty much with equal runs? What was coming to your mind coming off of turn 4 toward the flag?
So it was more. There was kind of like a shift in the plan, not even just at turn 4. It was once I saw there was the 3 of us, I was like, okay. I felt pretty confident that I was good. I knew eventually they were gonna fall back, try to get a run. Um, as soon as I noticed that, I also burped the throttle, didn't let them get a run. Um, and then I know they're not gonna lift; they're gonna try to push me out the way. So if I can hold on to the wheel, which I was able to through 3-4, um, guard the bottom again, I'll get the push and stay out front. So um, I was really dependent on holding that wheel in 3-4. Otherwise, we all also would have crashed. Um, but it was real tense because I was like, okay, I know exactly what's going to happen. I just want it to happen this way.
Well, that it did, and plans changed, but you still came out on top at the end of the day, being adaptable, keeping it clean. Like I had told Dusty, like you 3 out front, doesn't look like there's a scratch on any of you, and seem to be able to find your way through all the little holes and everything through the traffic, because you were spent, I think, most of the race somewhere around 10th. I know saw you and the other guys were riding that outside lane, not really going anywhere too much with just the 4 of you. Was there a plan to that rather than just running single file, riding that outside lane, just the 4 of you?
It was more we were kind of seeing because it's the new truck, so we're just trying to see how it works out there. And just kind of testing and to see if we need it at the end. And that's when we found out, actually, when Koro was leading the line before that, that you needed to side draft super, super hard just to get any progress. And then because we knew that, that's how we were able to jump up to have Koro go up for the lucky dog. Um, so it was more beginning of the race. It was more just kind of like learning. And then once we had the knowledge of like, okay, we can side draft really hard if we stay organized. We'll be able to get enough progress to where it will be worth it. Um, but it was if you're not right on their door, basically pushing like door slamming them essentially for a side draft on the inside, you're not going anywhere on the outside in these trucks right now.
That's good information. You know, it looks like, I mean, there was a couple runs we saw on the outside, and I think historically, before the update, the outside was kind of the place to be, but the air and the way it works with their new modeling definitely seems to favor the inside if they can get lined up. The outside has a shot if the inside, you know, isn't a great line, but yeah, like you said, it looks like that's kind of how it planned, or how it played out for most of the evening. You see even Dusty and Crank and those guys were usually, if they got to run to the outside, they get back down to the inside as quick as possible. They weren't hanging out on that outside lane more than they absolutely had to. So, yeah, good racing, good job experimenting, and, you know, like we told the viewers throughout the race, everyone's out there trying to build a notebook of what works, what doesn't, and just trying to get as much of an advantage and knowledge as possible, you know, for the last couple of laps of the race, and that worked out pretty good for you.
Yeah, worked out. Plate racing is so much luck. I was lucky that I was up front when the last caution came out, because otherwise, you saw how it was. You got it with the wreck happening behind, where it's like you have to go middle, make something happen. There's bound to be some chaos, so I was just lucky enough to be far enough ahead that I was in front of it.
Absolutely. Well, congrats on the win. Congrats on, well, being our points leader for right now. Claiming the first win of the season.
I think we should call it a championship here. I think we've run long enough.
Stop the presses. Let's pause everything here.
100%. Yep.
Crown the champion. Well, tonight you get not quite a championship, but you do get a signed Mike Skinner diecast and $40, so that's not too bad either.
And that's the thing. That's just the bonus, because I just like going in circles with my friends. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, that's what we're going here for. Here is give a little bit of fun to everybody with some added prizes and stuff on the top, just to build that camaraderie and things like that. Well, we're headed to Chicagoland next week. It's not a super speedway. A little less luck involved, although with the trucks, every speedway tends to be a little bit of a drafting track. How are you feeling about that?
I'm usually pretty decent at Chicagoland. The only thing that's making me nervous is because everything, like you said, everything's becoming really draft heavy with the trucks, is how the back straight isn't straight and curves in for taking runs, or if we are kind of packed up, it's going to get real tight right there. That's the only thing that I'd really be nervous for. Other than that, I'm usually pretty good at Chicagoland, so I feel decently confident for it.
All right, well, that's Doug Argbright, tonight's winner, and hopefully he can get out there and back it up at Chicagoland next week. Got some confidence and $40 extra in the pocket, so not a bad night altogether. Took that Gatorade Silverado to victory lane. Doug, thanks for taking the time. I know it was a bit of a longer interview, but I appreciate it, and I'm sure all the fans out there appreciate the insight on what was going on throughout the race, too. So we'll let you go for the night. Thanks for the interview, and we'll see you next week in Chicago.
All right, hope to talk to you again next week, too.
All right, that's been your winner for the night, Doug Argbright, driver of the number 41 Gatorade Chevrolet. All right, that's going to wrap it up for our interviews for tonight. Let's go ahead and take one last look down our running order for this evening. Let's go ahead and throw up our results page. Of course, Doug Argbright, Dusty Martin, Kenny Reel, 1, 2, and 3. Hard charger for the day was your winner, Doug Argbright, up 23 positions from where he qualified. Dusty Martin with the most laps led at 40 laps, and Dan Jensen's going to take the extra point for the fastest lap of the evening. Kenny Reel does a pretty good job hanging on there from the pole position from first to third, kept it up front when it counted. So the first 4 positions will move on for the next round of the Nitro Super Speedway Challenge for the next $40. So Doug, Dusty, Kenny, and Devin, all 4 of them will compete at Echo Park Speedway. That's Atlanta Motors, the old Atlanta Motor Speedway, which was redone. That will happen, I believe it is March 26th, so just over a month away to the next round of that. Once again, it'll be the same thing. Those 4 drivers will go head-to-head for $40. The highest finishing of those 4 drivers will claim the 40 and move on to the 3rd and final round of the Super Speedway Challenge. Pick up a new bottom 3 to be eligible for the last race as well. So that's how that works, and that's what we're looking at going into Echo Park. But once again, next week, Chicagoland, right back here on the Boom Tube. Same place, same time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time on Thursday. That's going to be the 26th. 120 laps around Chicagoland Speedway. It should be a good time here in the trucks. Had a couple good recruitment races during the off-season at Chicagoland, so it should be a pretty good race and a pretty even race between everybody, and we're looking forward to see what they can do next week. But that's going to do it for me and for the Thursday Night Nitro Series round number 1 at Daytona International. It's been a pleasure. Once again, if you are not subscribed, it would be very beneficial for all of us if you'd hit that subscribe button below the video, hit that bell icon to be notified the next time we go live, to support your favorite driver or drivers. And we'll hopefully see you back out on the track next week. As always, I've been Adam LeVox here for the Boom Tube, signing off for the evening. Everybody have a good night, and we'll see you in Chicago.